First question, all your 30 questions gone.
Yeah. I'm like, what just happened?
That is the plight of the interviewer, I guess.
Oh god. But
Ask one question, you get like 30 answers.
yeah. I'm dead at the moment. But okay, I just want to. You haven't had like an official release date, have you, for this game?
No, no, not yet. We internally have been kind of kicking around sometime in October, as it's more of a goal for us to like a deadline for us to just kind of work towards, because I don't know, when we don't have deadlines, we tend to just kind of go off on tangents in terms of ideas, and we'll never finish, basically, because we'll just go on.
Yeah, one of us especially.
Yeah.
The art guys are really bad about that.
Yeah, man, you let an art guy go with with some ideas and some tangents, and man, you find yourself in these rabbit holes of development. But a lot of it's just kind of like, all right, let's try and cap the ideas, or cap the things that we want to add to something that's realistic to do in that time frame. And so we're kind of new to this whole development thing too, in terms of going public with it. I mean, we're not new to development of games. It's just the going through this whole, like, oh, this is our product now, and all the formalities of having a release date, having a press kit, and just marketing the thing. We don't really know how to do that, and we're kind of learning. So, the whole release date thing, I think is going to come down to, one, what we can reasonably do, and two, we've had some kind of publishers, indie publishers approach us and say, we're interested in your game. Can we help you release it? And so, that's pretty cool. But they're probably going to want, if we sign a contract, or if and when, they're probably going to want a release date then, and hopefully that'll, align with what we're trying to do too.
If you actually release it in October, can you please try to release it on October 24th? Because that's my birthday.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, put your name on it. Happy birthday.
Yes. Because, I've fallen in love with this, because the graphics, oh my god, the graphics are sexy. They're just out of the park, and I'm just like, I want this. Can I get it? Please?
Well, I guess Joe's doing his job then. I don't have to fire him.
Yeah, good for something. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, the graphics are, that's one of the things about the game that, that it's really a compromise, because if you watch any of these movies that influenced us, especially like The Abyss, that's live footage, it's actually underwater, and you see that, I was thinking, man, I want it to look like that, like, I don't want it to look like spaceships, we want it to look like, actual submarine, like watercraft, and to have the, that atmosphere of being, like deep underwater, and but to do that, it's resource intensive, it's expensive to do that, as far as, graphics production and things like that, and it's just so it's always a trade-off. So I think most of the time, I go a little overboard with the graphic stuff, and then we put it in game and think, okay, well, we have to scale this back, because not everybody.
Yeah, generally we have, like our kind of workflow is Joe just kind of models out something, like, the idea for whatever unit we're trying to develop, and like, he'll just attach whatever, get it to look the way he wants it to look, and then we'll just watch the frames per second just just totally tank. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so what can we do here to get this kind of look, with some decent performance? Because I mean, the game can have some, we kind of capped it just because it would get ridiculous, but the game can have around 200 units kind of flying around, and if they're like super high detail, we need to come up with some smart ways to kind of track the level of detail that's being rendered, and not completely destroy everyone's computer.
Please,
but yeah,
like, no, you don't need to be sued over destroying millions of computers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, love your game. It looks like a slideshow, though. Yeah.
Right.
Great slideshow.
Best I've seen in years.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of experience with optimization, and and even Unity has been there's been a learning curve there in terms of visuals, like just doing this compromise of Joe dumping the model in and decorating it up with lighting effects and all that stuff. You know, I have to know how to manipulate Unity or whatever engine we would be using, just in general, to kind of optimize it, I guess you'd say. But there's just a learning curve there that it just takes time basically, and it's a compromise that we hopefully favor on Joe's side because when stuff looks cool, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
So, pretty much have either of you two went to school for developing?
No, I didn't. I'm self-taught. But it's. I mean, I'm kind of an art nerd, so I mean, this is the only thing. This is the only thing I can do. But yeah, I'm completely self-taught from animation, illustration. It's all it's really all the same thing to me. But, I've always been the artsy, nerdy kid. I was drawing on folders and things like that.
On your lunchbox.
Yeah, my lunchbox. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was I went to school in Philadelphia at Drexel for computer science, but there was a point before that I was looking at that. I don't know if it's still there. That school, DigiPen. I think they're set in Vancouver. I don't know if it's still there or not, but I was thinking about doing that because I had a love for games pretty early on, and I was screwing around with programming my Apple IIc back in the day, and I just figured, I like this. This is what I want to do. And when college time came, I was like, well, do I want to get into this games industry, or do I just want to have like a steady gig? And because at that time and even today, I think working in the games industry has a little bit of a reputation for being a little bit like topsy-turvy and unreliable. You might not find a job, or it might be so competitive that your paychecks might not be quite what you want them to be. And so given that decision between risking going down that role and just having a steady gig, because I wanted to kind of be like a family man too and just lead a regular life, the threat of what the game development path held, I just kind of said, all right, I'll just get a general comp sci degree and see where that takes me. And so I mean, there was no specialty in game development. It was just programming in general.
I understand. Almost all of us have to go down that road to get a steady job and live out my life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, particularly when you have something in the creative realm, like game development or music or art, of some form. You could just choose to get an office job and go with that, or I mean, granted, it's not a finite path either. I mean, it's not an absolute decision. You can always change it up later in your life, but I don't know. Just at that point, when I was trying to choose what education and path I was going to go down, I just, I chose the general one, and just went with that.
So you use Unity to pretty much code the basis of your games. Do you use anything else?
Not for this game. I mean, Joe's, I'm sure, got a whole slew of tools, workflow tools for 3D stuff that is just a mystery to me half the time. But as far as I'm concerned, like the actual development is primarily done in Unity, just from the scripting standpoint. But Joe, you can run her down your list of.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's 3D Studio Max mostly for my just general 3D package. I use Maya some too. So usually I create like a the low res model in 3D Studio Max or Maya, and then export that, import it into ZBrush, subdivide that a few till it's like 6 million polygons or so, and sketch on that, add some detail, then export that back out, generate normal maps, ambient occlusion maps, things like that, and and then so it's usually 3D Studio Max, ZBrush. Some sort of UV program, just kind of bounce around from that, and of course Photoshop, and it's just basically whatever gets the job done the fastest.
That was so much.
Yeah, it's a lot of techie talk too. When you get Joe started with talking about ambient occlusion maps and stuff, it's easy to get lost in the weeds.
Wow. Well, it sounds wonderfully interesting. Oh my god. But do you two have any past games you have created before Fathom?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said before, we have a mod for Quake 2. That's not something that's very recent, but we got some pretty good recognition for that. That was like it was called Devastation, and it was a mod with I don't know if you remember Quake, but it's just kind of what it was is it's a regular first person shooter game, but I added this mod where you could hop into these robot suits and kind of trounce around, and you just kind of get you're just in a heavier suit basically, and everybody tries to knock you out of that. So mostly it was modding. I don't have any production level stuff, but before I contacted Joe, when I found Unity all those years later, we did do a couple of other things that just didn't quite come together. Obviously not something we released. Fathom will be our first official release. But we've had ideas and games that were constructed and work. It's just they weren't as fleshed out as this one. Or
there's 3 or 4 different games. One of them was kind of a puzzle game. One of them was like a sort of a fighting game. It's like a samurai based game, and and we kind of went down the path, but we always kind of kept going back to Fathom, this idea for Fathom. And and I think once that we kind of broke away from thinking, okay, well, Fathom's going to be just an RTS game, that's it, it's only going to be RTS. Once we kind of broke away from that idea and said, well, let's do, RTS, or maybe something maybe a shooter with some kind of RTS elements in it. Once we started kind of going down that path, I mean, it just kind of snowballed from there, and it was just oh yeah, well, this would be cool, and you start having the would be cool conversations.
Mm-hmm. Numerous ones, yeah.
Yeah, and then the next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you're like, oh yeah, well, let's do that. Well, let's do this. So that's kind of how that whole thing took off. So yeah, but there's we might even revisit some of those after Fathom.
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, there's definitely 1 or 2 that were, they're pretty far along. They're things that could be testable, but like I said, never really released, and just not in a form that satisfies us in terms of sharing, pretty much.
Right. Yeah.
So this idea has been pretty much developing over a 10-year span, if I'm correct?
Yeah, I mean, the actual development...
2002?
Yeah, the idea is that old. The development, that we've really kind of picked up and, and made it a thing was probably about 1.5 years now. But that idea was something that we had in our heads for a long time.
Goodness, I'm running out of questions. Pretty much how many hours a day do you spend developing on this game?
Yeah, so it's a mixed bag for me. So I have a regular day job. I work usually 9 to 6, and then I've got 2 kids and a third one on the way, and so thanks. Yeah, I don't even think I told you, Joe. Sorry. Surprise.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Surprise.
Well, we got to the point where we were like, all right, well, do we want to start telling people? And I think we just this week started doing that. So yeah, obviously my my priorities when it comes to Joe is I don't want to distract him. Just get the damn game done, Joe.
Yes.
Don't worry about me. But
wait, I'm so sorry, but when were you gonna tell him, at the hospital?
Yeah, I guess
Like,
not.
oh
I guess
yeah,
so.
surprise.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
probably.
no. Devin and I have never actually met.
Yeah, not in person.
Yeah, we live in two separate states, so yeah. So I might get a text or a phone call, but yeah, we've never actually.
Well, I'd just be like, oh, Joe, I'll be right back. I gotta go have a baby. So.
Yeah, I gotta go have the other kid delivered.
Yeah, I'll be back. Just get those textures done.
Yeah, maybe he can start teaching them how to code so we can get stuff done.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm bringing in another coder. He's 0 years old.
But so I mean, we do it kind of in our free time, and I work basically as a freelancer, doing illustration and animation and video, web design stuff. So if I have any free time at all, I'm usually cranking out models or some sort of artwork for the game, and usually we work at night, and we're both kind of night owls, so usually we're up till I don't know 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, either working on the game or playing it or or talking about it somehow. So yeah, so it's pretty much every night that we're that we work on it.
Yeah, I mean, my window usually opens up around like, if the little one wants to go to bed around like 9, p.m. and then I'll, work until 2:30 or 3 sometimes if I
Until it passes out.
Yeah, till I pass out sometimes. But sometimes I'll at work. I have Unity installed there, and sometimes at work at like lunchtime or something like that, I'll just pop that open and do a little something for like an hour if I get time. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a on-demand thing. Like when I have a window of opportunity, to just time-wise, with all the other things in my life, I try to squeeze it in there and then get a terrible night's sleep.
Well, goodness. So pretty much, well, when you've figured out the release date, what platforms will this be released on? Will it be released on Game Jolt, Steam? Where will
Yes.
you find it?
So
Yes.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, we want to run the gamut where we can, but primarily we're going to target Steam first. The game is designed to support gamepad stuff, or gamepad controllers. So, we want to kind of segue that into potential console releases. With Unity, it supports multiple targets like that pretty easily. I mean, I haven't actually done it, but it says it on the box, about Unity being able to kind of move to those consoles, and that's another thing that I have absolutely no experience with. So I'd imagine that's going to be an adventure within itself. I mean, things that I've heard about putting things on the Microsoft network, and I mean, the game's a multiplayer game, so I know there's going to be all kinds of things that Microsoft's going to say. If we target Xbox or the PlayStation Network, if they want to do that, and I'll probably have to rewire things to use their protocols. But it is on the to-do list. But really, what I want to see is how it does in the PC realm. Just the kind of reaction we get, and hopefully, if people are into it, if they dig it, and they think it's worthy, I'd like to move on to those consoles and just get as much exposure as we can, because it's we're pretty proud of the thing, and obviously we want as many people to see it as possible.
So I know where to find it, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Steam first, and then I'm sure we'll sprout to what other gaming portals there are out there. I know our publisher has, or the potential publisher that we're interested in has some policies about like you can handle Steam, but we'll handle everything else, and they've got a whole list of outlets. So I'm sure it'll be if we go with that publisher, I'm sure it'll be pretty readily available. Hopefully, we'll market the crap out of it too, and you'll see it in places to actually download it.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't get over this. Is your child going to be a boy or a girl?
I don't know yet. We're gonna find out in probably 7 or 8 weeks. So I have 2 girls right now. So
My money's on a girl.
yeah, same probably, but we'll see. There's some indicators with my wife and how she feels, and we're it's a little different than the other 2. So we're like, oh, maybe it's a boy. My my parents are like, yeah, you need a boy. Carry on the family namesake or whatever. But whatever. Chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
I bet
But
it's
I'm
gonna,
excited.
I bet it's
Either
gonna
way.
be a boy. Well,
Yeah?
because I'm training to be an OBGYN nurse.
Oh, nice.
There's a certain chemical which you can actually feel that it's going to be a boy or a girl,
Okay.
but it's not scientifically proven, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like an old wives' tale.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I hear a lot of that, in terms of, you know, of course I Googled this, at some point and came up with all kinds of bizarre, ideas on how you can tell or what you can do to control it. And it just sounds like a whole list of, yeah, just weird old wives' tales. And yeah. so, so we'll see. I'm not going to either, like I said, either way, I'll take either one. I'm just excited in general.
Okay. So, Joe, you're you do freelance work, pretty much.
I do.
What have you? I guess what I'm trying to ask is what have you done recently?
Oh, well, most of my freelance work is not like in games. It's more like technical illustration or scientific illustration, things like that, and or music videos. I mean, it kind of runs the gamut on things that I do. I've done visual effects for movies, and but like I said, once you do it long enough, I've been doing this for 20 years. So once you do it long enough, it kind of all becomes the same thing. You're just outputting to a different medium. So I dig that. It's not the same thing every day. That's one of the reasons I like it so much.
Where are you from? What's your accent? Oh my god.
I'm from Georgia.
See, Joe, I told you I have an accent. Do I have an accent? Can you?
I don't know what
do
y'all are
my
talking
voice?
about.
Which y'all?
What y'all are talking about.
You have a hint of an accent, Devin. Like,
Where were you gonna guess?
It would probably be in. It would probably be in the north, somewhere like Philadelphia, maybe.
Yep.
Really?
Look at
Yeah,
that.
right outside of. Well, I'm not now, but I grew up in South Jersey, Jersey. So I don't think I have too much of my. Well, at least, I don't know, but I've been told that sometimes I say words like "water," and it comes out. I don't. I never thought of it as an accent in my life, so it's.
Well, now you know how I feel.
Yeah, I guess so.
Everybody has an accent.
Yeah.
So, pretty much, since I'm preparing my pocket for this game, do you have a close to a price on it or something about that?
Yeah, I don't remember what we left off, Joe. I mean, what were you thinking, like $10 range? I mean, it's tough because man, some of these games that are like phenomenal come out and it's like $5. You're like, oh my gosh, like what? And then you get this like you look on Steam and you find like some game that just doesn't look so great, and it's like 30. So it's very hard to judge based off of other works that are out there. But obviously, I want this to be. It's really a balance of affordability versus just making it worth our while to do. But
I think like $15 was our starting point, and so it could. It's probably going to be like it'll be between $10 and $20. I'm sure. I don't think it'll be any higher than that. I mean,
yeah, I can't see it being anywhere. Yeah, higher than that. And then of course, there's the Steam sales that'll probably reduce it to like 50 cents or something. So.
Right. Yeah. It's in a bundle. Yeah.
Right, yeah. It's like, okay, that's everybody waits for the Steam sale, so. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to target 10 to 15 is what I would guess just off the top, but we'll see what I haven't even spoken to anyone in the realm of actual competitive pricing for games that that had any insight, but if I had to guess based on pretty much nothing, I'd say that. Yeah.
You may not be able to see it now, but I'm mentally calculating how that's going to fit in my budget.
Nice.
I'm on a college freaking budget, and it sucks.
Yeah. Maybe you could just send me some cup of noodles or something like that, because I love those, and I know that's a pretty standard college fare diet. So you can pay me in ramen.
Box of diapers.
Yeah. I have a whole mini fridge full of them. So.
There you go. Yep. It's like it's what you eat, man.
Morning, noon, and night.
Yeah, I mean, you're going for OBGYN, so you got what? That's like medical, basically, right? So you're,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm
So,
sad. It's
so you've got some bills to pay.
yeah. At least I have like fam to help me with it. Thank God.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, oh God, I didn't know we were running that low. Have one of the questions I came up with pretty much last night when I was half asleep. Have you
I know what
two
that's like.
like ever came up with a game idea while totally drunk?
Hmm. Well,
I don't think so.
no, not a fresh idea. I wouldn't say. I mean, we've been focused on this particular one for a long time. So, when we do drink, most of it's just like nutty ideas for this game. Like one of my favorites, and I still think we should definitely do this. Is we wanted to have so the game's like you're in a little personal submarine, and like the subs all have like this this glass bathysphere orb like you'd see in what the hell is the name of that game with the bathysphere thing with the where you go down to the depths and there's that city Rapture. Why can't I think of the name of the game? Well, whatever. Everyone that would ever see this would be like, it's this, you dumbass. But well, anyway, it's like that game where you kind of go down the sub and there's this glass. There it is, BioShock. My God. Anyway, yes, so you're sitting in this glass sphere thing, and you can kind of see in it. So when you fly or sail or whatever you're doing past your opponents and stuff, you can kind of see in that glass bowl. And so we want to put like a little character in it. We wanted to do like different types of selectable characters, like having a like a zombie or like Mario or something like that. Just sitting there driving the sub, like just having some hilarious, or like a clown, and like
Clown hands,
with the clown. And the game has a it's first and third perspective. You can toggle between them. So like if you go in the first person view, you could see the hands on the control sticks, and like just be like a giant clown hands or something like that, or zombie hands. It'd just be. Yeah, just ridiculous stuff like that would be, just
totally destroys my idea for the sci-fi high tech universe, the Fathoms in. That was like, oh yeah, let's put clown hands on it.
Just spit in the face of that thing, man. Yeah, I think we were, that idea is probably, along those lines of just, coming up with silly ideas during, slightly tipsy moments. There were others too, but I think we either suppressed those ideas or forgot about them completely because they were that stupid.
Oh, I actually agree on the Mario. I'm sorry, Joe. Like, please.
Well, what'll happen is like put it in there and be like ha ha ha, and then like Nintendo will send us a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, what are you doing? Maybe we can come up with some spin-off or something like that. Call them like,
Mario Super Sub.
Jario or something. Be like, what are you talking about? It's not Mario. It's a plumber guy. He doesn't even do plumbing. He does like, something related to that. I don't know. We'll have to be clever about it.
Oh, God.
He's a contractor. He's not a plumber. So, yeah, I mean, but I think the idea of it, just kind of adding, every game that's kind of serious has some sort of either reference to something else or just some sense of humor about it. So I would like to try and infuse that. It just gives the game a little bit of depth, or it just eases the tension of it. Doesn't take itself too seriously, type thing. And I think people appreciate that. So that's why I think that's a good idea. Be it Mario or whatever we end up putting in there. Just as a kind of a joke. Or an optional joke, I guess, as it were.
So, pretty much, how far do you want this game to go? Like, in terms of success?
I mean, sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned. Honestly, if people, really what I would like to see is just people playing it like competitively, and I'm not talking like necessarily esport, though that would be amazing too. That would probably be like way over the horizon as far as I'm concerned. I know this game, like Joe and I have talked about this, and the game is it's a mix RTS and FPS, and the thing about that is it's kind of a niche market, like people like FPS games and people like RTS games. The people that like both at the same time are probably going to be a subset of that. This is just something Joe and I like to play. So, that's kind of what we made it for. And it wasn't necessarily for, gigantic mass appeal. And we realized that. But, having said that, I realize that there's going to be people that either, really like RTS games and want to play an RTS and are going to look at this game and be like, well, it's not it's not a full-on RTS. I don't like this, and likewise for FPS. I understand that's going to happen. And so,
Yeah, I think that the one of our goals is to have like guys that are, people that are old school gamers, like that grew up, playing like The Sin and Homeworld and, like games that just, were really good for exactly, what they were. Yeah, I just want them to enjoy this, be like, they can see it and go, oh yeah, well this is, the gameplay is solid. It looks cool and the gameplay is solid. Just to have actual gamers appreciate the game, is really that's a big deal,
Ooh, okay. Okay. But, sorry, I got distracted for a sec.
No worries.
But, are you two, like, old school gamers?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I'd say like, I grew up in, before there were computers, or at least, before they were really, there was a personal computer, or at least I was very young, and I remember those days. So, I saw it, kind of from the beginning. Joe probably a little bit more so than me. Joe's a little older than me, so he's been kind of, I think he even saw the years prior to even that. But, yeah, I mean, I've been playing like, games on, stuff as old as like the Commodore and, the Apple IIc and, all that, those really old games like, Intellivision and Atari. I remember like getting like our first Nintendo, or I remember getting our Intellivision. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I can't believe it. And so, there's been times in my life that have, I haven't been playing for a long time, like, so I'll lose touch for a little while, and then, I'll find a game and then get back into it. You know how games are, where it's like, you start playing one game and then, another one comes out and you're like, oh, if you like that, try this. And, they really market things that way these days. And, with all the social media out there, if you tell somebody, oh, I'm playing this game, somebody will be like, oh, well, then you got to play this game. And, it just becomes this kind of snowball effect these days. But, yeah, I kind of go in and out. Like, there was phases in my life, where I was playing like nonstop, and then, I just was off doing something else.
Yeah,
for a year or two, and then come back.
Especially, like, I think creative people, especially, they'll do one thing for a while. They'll just game hardcore for a while, and then they'll kind of change gears and do something creative for a while, and then jump back in it. Because they're always kind of feeding the monster. You're always looking for some sort of input or something you can borrow from, and yeah, but I'm old, so yeah, I played like Atari, VIC-20, Commodore 64. I played all the consoles, as they came out, like the early stuff, and then I think Doom, when Doom came out, or Doom and Quake came out, especially Quake, because it was completely 3D. That kind of changed the game, but Doom, playing the original Doom, when it was multiplayer, I can just remember thinking, even when you were playing Atari, you're thinking it'd be really cool if you could play against people, like, and see them, and then Doom, did exactly that, and you're like, oh wow, that's the future is here. It can never get any better than this, and and it did. So it's just, technology is amazing. It's a really cool time to be alive, to see the advent of all this technology.
Yeah, it's kind of one of, I've said that to a bunch of people before. It was like, man, I got to live through like the start of it, and witness it, and now it's just kind of like, especially when you have kids, you're like, man, they'll never know what it's like to not have a smartphone. Like, yeah. It's a totally, it's going to be totally alien to them to not have something along this lines. Granted, by the time they're 15 or whatever, who knows what the hell they'll have? Probably like, bionic arms that are smartphones. But yeah, just that. I would say yes to answer the question. Yeah, I'd say we've been around a long time, and I wouldn't say I'm like super hardcore, but I am pretty old school. Like, you can spout off games like, you remember this old ass game, and I'd be like, yep, I do.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I love old school gamers. It's like the stories they tell me, and then I'm just like, wow, when did that happen? And then it's just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat to know about like the history and it's really cool. Like if you think about and I always say this is a great thing like for just creativity is just having limitations. Like games before. I mean, when you just have a couple of blocks on the screen or like however many pixels across, like or however many colors, you got to be really creative to create like some sort of immersive experience. And so with technology now, I mean, you can kind of think of something and then visualize it, but before they really had to kind of give representations of things more so, and it forced your mind to kind of you know make up what this thing was actually trying to show you in your head, whereas there's less of that going on. I mean, that's across all media at this point, like, movies and TV.
Yeah, it's the same thing with music and art. Like having some sort of limitation there actually force you to be a little bit more creative. And it's almost overwhelming when you sit down now at a blank. You're staring at a blank page in Photoshop, saying, "Oh, okay, I'm going to sketch something new here." You can do anything and then create it in 3D. It's a bit overwhelming. So having some sort of guideline, say look, it has to do this, this, and this.
I mean, even the units that we develop now for this game, it's like we're just like, okay, so we know what this unit's supposed to do, but Joe sits down, it's like, yeah. I'll ask him like, did you make the model? And he's like, well, I haven't come up with anything. And you kind of start to understand when usually what he'll do is he'll share his screen and we'll like, he'll start molding something out, and and I'll take a look at it, and he'll be like, I don't really like this, and I'll say what I do like or what I don't like, and we'll just kind of cooperatively kind of come up with stuff. But I mean, having constraints like saying like all right, well, it can only have, let's just say it can only be this wide, or can only we want it to have wings, or something like that, or like a bridge that lights up or whatever. Just coming up with those kind of constraints ahead of time makes it a little bit easier to come up with something. But yeah, the blank page thing is I mean, like coming up with the initial DSV that you're seeing there, that took, I mean, we had like, probably 5 or 10 different iterations of that thing, just trying to come up with like, it looks too spaceshipy, or it looks too much like a regular sub. We kind of wanted to make it look like it belongs underwater, not in space, but but make it look still kind of cool. And so, that really took a while to come up with. And when you just have a blank sheet of paper, it's like draw me a sub that looks awesome. It's like you can come up with a lot of weird stuff.
So pretty much, did you actually have to research in developing this game?
Yeah, I mean, what helped was doing at least for me, was doing some of those other little pet project games that we never released beforehand. I learned quite, even though we didn't do anything with them, I learned quite a bit and was able to apply it to this to kind of, come up with best practices and, wrong ways to do things and avoiding them. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the research, I mean, some of it was like, coming up with, looking at examples of other realistic or real submarines or submersibles, things like that, just for inspiration. Obviously, the game's sci-fi, so we wanted to take some liberties there. But, a lot of it's inspired by some other idea that we saw, like, oh, yeah, that's, that makes sense. It has like these little pontoons or whatever, we'll throw that on there because that kind of indicates to most people when they see it that it belongs underwater, and having little propellers and stuff, those things, are trying to capture what the subconscious things
it's
tell
a
you.
challenge to make, because the game's in a completely, 3D environment. So to get away from anything appearing to be, like a spaceship, it looks like it has to work, underwater, like, it has to float or have some sort of propulsion or something, because if it's just spaceships underwater, then there's really no point in doing it. That's not that original. So everything that we've done, is I try to take inspiration from the art, from like things that have been actually designed or built, and kind of stretch those those things that people have seen before, kind of stretch those in the realm of sci-fi.
These screenshots look freaking awesome. I'm just so happy. I just don't know what to say. But
Say good job, Joe.
Yes, Joe. Thank you for blessing us.
There's
with this
Joe.
game.
That's a picture of him right there.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you have the video. Never mind. Damn. I was gonna say. Yeah, so I mean, that's one of the things we're working on now is, among other things, is coming up with, like, we kind of want to humanize the game a little bit and add some characters. We have some voiceover work. Still got a little bit a lot more to go, actually. But, we want to make it so it's not just a bunch of boxes flying around. Like, we want to have it so, you understand that there are people, around you that, I think it'll just add to that overall experience, knowing that, there's other characters in the game playing with you as opposed to just robots kind of taking orders.
So, does this game have a certain plot to it that follows along with it?
Yeah, so that's a deep question, actually. We do have a whole, and this is stemming back again from, like, the original idea, like, from 10 years ago, but we had, like, a whole story written out with individual missions, and we still have these documents kind of fleshed out, and we have ideas for a story mode. And really, this game, like, as we developed it, has been like, well, it's been targeting at multiplayer, and so you don't really, a lot of games that are competitive or, like, real-time strategy games, you don't really tell your story in the multiplayer. You tell your story in, like, a campaign type setting. And so we want to do that, and initially we kind of wanted to do that, but I don't know how we got sidetracked into the multiplayer thing. But yeah, I mean, we do have, like, the makings of a story that we do want to tell eventually, and I would assume that if there's any level of success in this game, in terms of I can actually put some time into designing missions and stuff like that to kind of flesh, to kind of tell the story, or at least map it to whatever we had laid out before. Yeah, I mean, there's material there to do that. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, there's an entire canon to the whole universe. I mean, because before, there were no tools, so that gave us plenty of time to talk about, well, how would this work, or where did this come from, or why are we here, why are we on this planet, why is it covered with water? Yeah, so hopefully, we sealed up a lot of plot holes with doing that. And so, yeah, I mean, and ideally, that this game will be the first of 2 or 3 that kind of revolve around the Fathom universe, and it would be great if I mean, nothing would please me more if I could like tell the entire story of that, and have some sort of explain the history behind it, and kind of leave it open-ended where it was going.
Yeah, I mean, I think in order to tell the story, I mean, this kind of evolves the game into, like, a, if we're going to tell it the way, Joe, I assume, would want to tell it, and the way I would too, is, I'd like it to be a full-on production type thing. Like, I want a lot of voice acting. I want, like, not necessarily live action, but, like, I want some level of, just humanity to it. Like, you really need to, in order to tell a story on this order, yeah, I see it almost as like how StarCraft told their story, not that story, obviously, but, like, just the way it's presented. There's a lot of avenues you can go down, but, there's the one that I would like to is probably the most grand, and probably the most expensive and time consuming.
Sure, yep.
But, that's kind of what we want to do, and, we're hoping that if this game has some success, we can put it back into evolving it and making it bigger, because, yeah, I mean, there is plans to make it, we do have things in our, in our notebooks and our documents that are just like, yeah, if we get a chance, we'd like to make this game a lot bigger, and just make it rival a AAA type, storytelling mechanism at some point. But right now we're trying to keep our hands, our arms around the whole thing, and, what we can do in the time given, and, and just make a good, playable, fun game, and then see if it expands from there, or if people just say, "No, this sucks. Sorry."
Well, I'm pretty. You two just slaughtered all of my questions. So.
Well, it had.
Oh God.
Yeah, sorry. Well, it had to end sometime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry if we I tend to do that with people. You know, they ask me questions and I answer. You know,
Code guys.
yeah, we don't get out much, so you know, when people talk to us, we're like, yeah, all right, I've got all these things to say.
No, it was wonderful because I've never had this experience, and it's actually more fun than just one-liners. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's I know what you mean. Like, you know, I just in talking to people, sometimes, you know, you're just gonna get people that aren't very chatty. So I know how that can be.
But guess that's pretty much all.
Cool.
Yeah. Wow. If you want to follow Fathom the Game, and keep up with them and everything like that, they are on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. You did not want your YouTube presented. Got that off. But I hope to see this out soon, preferably on my birthday, so I can get it. But
Yep. We'll aim for that reason. Be like, Joe, it's her birthday, so you better do something.
Birthday. Yeah.
yeah. And besides, I'll be 18 by then, so
There you go.
yeah.
Part A.
No,
That's
it's
not
called
21.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's called the cheap party at my dorms.
Ramen party, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't no party like a ramen party.
That's right.
But I guess that's all for now. I hope you'll be back with us and everything like that, because this was great.
Yeah, thanks. I had a lot of fun. It was, you know, we'll definitely keep in touch, and you know, we'll let you know of updates. You know, we're trying to get people to test. So, you know, if people are interested, yeah, hit us up, and we'll get you like a copy, and you can give us some comments.
That is awesome. But follow Misfitcast for more. Next time we're streaming is with Noah on Monday, and well, this was great, guys, and hope you have a lovely Sunday.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks.